welcome back to my channel, The Bucket List Mom. My name is Elizabeth and today we are making some chili. So I'm doing a weight loss program called Trim Healthy Mama, and so I wanted to do some fall chili kind of cooking, and thankfully they have two different kinds in their cookbooks that you can make but still stay on plan. And so we're making both of them today because there's some differences, and then my whole family is going to compare them later and we're going to let you know which one that we like the best. So this first one is cooked completely in the crock pot, which is awesome. It's called Save My Sanity Chili, and it really does because you don't have to do any kind of prep work ahead of time. You don't even have to cook the meat. You just stick everything right into the crock pot. And so this is made with turkey meat, which means that it's an e-meal and it's energizing, and so you can have a little bit more beans in your chili because you're not having as much fat in your meat as if you were using like hamburger meat. So I'm going to start by making this one. I'm going to put everything in the crock pot. We're going to get it started because it's kind of early in the morning, and then I'm going to go run some errands because I've got to get a few more ingredients for the rest of our chilies, and then I'm going to come back and we'll make chili later today, the one that's going to be on the stove. And that one's going to be a little bit different because it's an S1, which means satisfying. It means your fatty meals, and we get to use hamburger meat, but we don't get to use quite as many beans. So I've got all my ingredients out already. It's super easy. We're just going to dump everything in really quick. And so let's get started. So here's a picture of it. That's what it looks like. It looks so delicious. Sometimes I do like using turkey meat because I really like beans in my chili. And then if you're going to do an energizing meal, you can use a dollop of Greek yogurt. That's what that is. That's not sour cream. So if you have the Trim Healthy Mama book, it's page 81. And then we have just the ingredients right here. I've got them all out and they're all ready. I'm going to tell you the measurements as I go. If you've watched any of my other cooking videos, you'll know though that I don't actually measure any of my ingredients. I just kind of dump, and whatever looks good to me is what's good. So don't go off of my measurements. I'm just going to read to you what's in the book. And if you're making it for the very first time, you should probably measure, but since I've made it several times, I'm just going to do whatever looks good to me. So I've got all my stuff here. We've got chicken broth. We've got the seasoning blend over here. We've got a couple cans of beans. We've got some diced tomatoes. We've got our spices, but first we're going to start with our turkey right here. The recipe calls for 2 pounds of turkey. I have 3 pounds of turkey right here. I'm actually going to use all of it because I don't need the turkey for anything else this week. And sometimes for this recipe, my kids complain that there's a little bit too much tomatoes in it for them, so hopefully if I add some extra meat, they won't complain as much. So you actually don't have to pre-cook this meat. You just take this meat and you just set it in the bottom of the thing. It will cook all the way. So there it is in there. The directions call for to break it up a little bit ahead of time. So I'm going to do that. So the directions call for 2 bags of the seasoning blend. I love the seasoning blend. I cook with it in almost every meal. That's what they call for, and it's a miracle. You don't have to cut anything up ahead of time, which is fantastic. You just open this up, stick it in there. It comes with onions, celery, red peppers, green peppers, parsley flakes, and you don't have to cut anything. So it saves a ton of time. Next we'll do the minced garlic. It calls for a teaspoon of minced garlic, so that's about what I'm going to do. I just do a little spoonful, and I never actually cut my garlic or mince it anymore. I just buy it like this. It saves me a ton of time. As you can see, I'm adding a bit more than a teaspoon for sure. So next over here we'll add some cans of beans and the tomatoes. So I've got 2 cans of petite diced tomatoes. These are just easy. I love when they have tops like that. So we're just going to open them right on up, and they just dump right on in. You don't need to drain them or anything like that. So that's what it's starting to look like. It looks pretty good. And now let's add some beans. So you can add 2 cans of pinto beans in this recipe, and you can add 2 cans of Great Northern beans in this recipe. And my kids like to get into the beans, so I only have 1 can apiece here right now. So that's why I am running to the store to get more beans for all of our chili recipe. And so I will be adding 1 more can of each beans in just a little bit once I get back from the store. I do like to drain my beans. It just kind of grosses me out, and so I do drain and rinse the beans. You're also going to add 1 can of Rotel tomatoes. This is a 10-ounce can, and I like the mild. You can use whatever you like. So we have a problem. I just added all my spices and all the rest of the ingredients and finished putting everything I needed into the crock pot, and my camera malfunctioned and I don't have any of that footage. It was recording, it just didn't actually record it. My camera's never done that before. I really don't know what the problem is, or what happened. But I'm gonna go back over through the spices with you. I already put them in. This kind of sucks, but at least you'll know what to add. So there's all my spices and everything in there. That's what it'll look like. It's gonna look so awesome. So what we put in was an entire quart of chicken broth. This is 32 ounces and you add the entire thing. I put in 3 tablespoons of chili powder, 1 teaspoon of oregano, 1 teaspoon of the Himalayan salt. The recipe calls for 1/4 of a teaspoon of cayenne pepper. I just did a little dash. I don't like things super spicy at all. So you can add more definitely if you like a lot of spice. And then we added 2 teaspoons of cumin. And then I also added a teaspoon of onion powder. And then the last thing to add is their sweet blend. So I put their super sweet blend in this kind of a container. You don't have to add anything sweet. If you don't have sweet blend and you want to add a sweetener, you can pick any stevia based or xylitol or erythritol based sweetener that you want. It's just going to give it a hint of sweetness. You add 1.5 to 2 teaspoons of it. You'll have to look up conversions online if you're going to use something other than super sweet blend, because this tends to be really sweet. You may need to add a little bit more if you're using a different sweetener. Since I have this in a different package, I'm going to link a video right now that shows you the products that I get and what this actually looks like and how you buy it. Okay, so that's everything for this chili. They say to mix it up really well, so we're going to do that real quick. Doesn't that look delicious? Okay, that is stirred to my liking, so we're just gonna put our lid on. We're gonna cook it on high for about 5 to 6 hours until it is finished. Okay, so I have that all set. It was super quick, it was super easy, so I'm gonna go run my errands, get a few more ingredients, and then I'll be back in a few hours and we will make the other stovetop chili. All right, you guys, I'm back. It's about 5 hours later and I am back from my errands and I did all my stuff today, and so now I'm gonna make this other chili recipe, which looks actually fairly easy, so I'm really thankful for that because I'm feeling kind of tired. But I wanna show you real quick the stuff in the crock pot because it's starting to look so good. All right, you guys, so here it is. And so I did add 2 more cans of beans when I got back from the store. So they've been in there for a couple of hours now, getting soft and nice. And so that's gonna be ready pretty soon, I think. I'm hoping to eat in about an hour. So I'm thinking that this is just gonna cook up kind of quick, and then we'll let all of it simmer on low heat for like an hour so that all the flavors go together. But this is looking really easy here, so let me show you. So I literally set out all my ingredients, and my onion is right over here, so we're gonna cut that in a second. But here it is. So it's in this book, which is a different book than the other chili. So this is Pearl's chili in this book on page 101, and so it is the S chili, and then the ingredients are a lot less than the crockpot chili. So you can see there's just not all that much that we need, so I'm super excited about that, and I'm curious to see which one turns out better. So I have 5 pounds of ground hamburger meat right here. We're gonna use 3. I probably am just gonna cut it right in half, and then I'm gonna start browning that right here so that it can start getting good, and then we're gonna cut up the onion. Okay, so that's how I get it out because it kind of freaks me out and I don't like to touch it. So I'm gonna turn that on. All right, so we're gonna get this started browning. All right, time to cut up this onion. All right, the onions look good. Back to the hamburger meat. I like to make my little pieces of hamburger meat like really small and ground up because big chunks kind of gross me out. So we do need to brown the onion with the hamburger meat, but it does say to drain the hamburger meat first of all the excess fat and then go ahead and brown the onion with it. After that, we're gonna wanna drain the fat this time if we're gonna stay on plan because we're including beans. So normally you would not do a fatty meal with anything with like beans or anything that's considered an energizing or an E meal. And so since we're adding just a tiny bit of beans and it's spread out over a whole pot, it should be okay, but we're definitely gonna try to get rid of as much excess fat as we can. So while these onions finish browning, I'm actually going to start adding some of my spices just to save some time. So let's go over what we're going to put in. The recipe calls for garlic powder to taste, and I love garlic powder, so I'm going to do quite a bit. I don't ever measure anything, so I'm just gonna do what looks kind of good to me. Next, we're supposed to add 1.5 tablespoons of chili powder. That looks pretty good. So it calls for 2 teaspoons of salt. And then lastly, 1 teaspoon of onion powder. You guys will notice there's a lot less spices in this one than in the other chili. So we're gonna have to see how that turns out. Also, we're gonna add 1 to 2 squirts of liquid aminos. This step is optional. All right, my meat and my onions look pretty good, and I got my spices in there, and so I'm gonna turn the heat on low, and then I'm gonna add the tomatoes and the beans, and then all we have to do after that is add some water and simmer for about 30 minutes. So we're gonna add 2 cans of Rotel in this one, I guess because we didn't add any seasoning blend, and I already opened them while I was browning the meat. So there we go. Then we're gonna add an 8-ounce can of tomato sauce. So that's it for tomato products. So there's definitely like a lot less like tomato stuff in this chili. So I think my kids are gonna like it a little bit better. I only have 1 kid that truly likes tomatoes. Then it says 2 cans of any kind of beans that you want. So I picked red beans and I picked Great Northern beans. Actually, I really like red beans in chili. I wish I had gotten 2 of these, but this is what I got. So we'll go ahead and we'll open them up. And I like to rinse my beans, so I'm gonna do that again. So the last thing we have to add is 2 to 4 cups of water, depending on how watery you like your chili, and I do like mine really watery, and I'm trying to make this go for a couple of meals, so I'm gonna add 4 cups of water for sure and then see how it looks to me. Okay, that was 4 cups, so let's see how this is looking. Actually, I think once it simmers for a while, it's gonna be good. So we're gonna simmer for a while right over here, and I'll be back when they are both done. All right, I got everything ready, and it looks so good, so let me show you. All right, so we got lots of stuff going on here. Over here is the one that I made in the crock pot. So this is the energizing meal. It has the turkey meat. It has a little bit more beans in it. And so I was able to add Greek yogurt, and then I put some corn chips in also because I really like chili with corn chips. The recipe did not call for that, but I think I feel okay about it. And then over here I have the stovetop one that we just made, and so I put actual sour cream in it and I put some cheese. Now, normally you don't eat both of these on the same day, so I'm just going to try them, a bite of them for the purposes of this video, but normally you would make one or the other so that you can stay in the correct meal mode. And so we're gonna try both of them and we're gonna see which one we like the best. Okay, so this is the stovetop one. It actually has a really nice flavor. All right, so that one's good. It has a lot of meat. I tend to have trouble with the meat texture and lots of meat, so I'm not totally sure about that one, but I do love the flavor. It's really good. So now we're gonna try the energizing one, the one from the crock pot. All right, here it goes. That one's really good. That one feels a little bit more like what I think of chili as. It has a really nice flavor. Not quite as much flavor as the other one though. All right, so I'm gonna eat a couple bites of these and then see which one I like better. Okay, I figured it out. So the one that I cooked on the stove, I put the liquid aminos in, remember? And that's where all the flavor is coming from. I can definitely taste them. It tastes really good. It makes it just like really flavorful in your mouth. But I don't like the meat texture at all. And then the turkey one from the crock pot, it's really good. It goes down really easy. It's really easy to eat. It tastes really good. I like that one a lot, but it's not bursting with like chili flavor. So I think actually what I would do to make the perfect chili on this plan for myself would be to put some of the ingredients, some of the spices into the crock pot one, and I think I'd cook the crock pot one on the stove. So I think I'd make the chili with more beans and with the turkey, but I would put some of the flavoring from the other one in there, and then I would have the perfect mix. Okay, so now my kids are gonna come eat and we're gonna test which one they like, each like the best, and we're gonna get a solid vote of our family which chili is the winner.
This one is really good. I keep taking bites.
And that's the crock pot one.
It's good.
And you like it? You guys didn't totally like it last time you complained, remember?
We did?
Yeah.
I'm gonna take a bite.
Okay, this is Aisley trying the crock pot one. You like it? You were complaining you didn't even want chili today. It's good?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't really like the stove one.
You don't like the stove one? But you do like the crock pot one. So that's your official vote. Even though you complained about the crock pot one last time I made it.
I don't know why, but
Okay.
It's too hot. There's too many tomatoes.
Nobody's excited about my chili.
I
You were too complaining about the chili. All right, what's your vote?
The stovetop, even though it has too many tomatoes.
See, I told you to complain about the tomatoes. Okay, so you like the
Tomatoes are
stovetop, but you like the flavor.
Yeah.
And you liked the meat
Flavor and
consistency.
The crock pot one was gross and it was crumbly.
It's too crumbly and mushy?
And it had tomatoes.
Okay, and you didn't like the flavor. What are you voting for?
the crock pot one.
Okay, and what were you voting for?
The crock pot.
Okay, so my son doesn't like either one of them. He wants to combine them differently like I do, except he wants to do exactly the opposite. So he didn't like the meat from the crock pot turkey one, which I did, and he liked the meat from the stovetop, but then he didn't like the liquid aminos in it. And so he wants to swap the flavors exactly opposite what I plan to make next time. So we'll have to see how that goes down. Okay, so the crock pot chili has 3 official votes and the stovetop has 1 official vote. They're both really good. You definitely have to try them both and see what you like. So thanks so much for joining me today. This was a long day of cooking. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you'll please subscribe, I would really appreciate it. And if you liked it, please give me a thumbs up and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.
I start to sail along these ocean waves. Nobody knows how to find us. It's turning out to be a perfect day. I just wanna leave our normal lives behind us. So let's get lost out here. No one else out here. Find ourselves out here.